I don't remember what the joke was supposed to be anymore. I remember the gas station. The way the air smelled like hot rubber and burnt coffee. My brother had been filming something on his phone. My dad told me to run inside and grab napkins. When I came back out, the car was already rolling. They were laughing. My sister leaned out the window and shouted, "Let's see if he can find his way home!" They didn't speed off. That would have made it dramatic. They drove away casually, like I'd catch up any second. Like I was in on it. I stood there longer than I want to admit, expecting them to circle back. They didn't. At first I was embarrassed more than scared. I was 19, technically an adult. Old enough that it shouldn't have rattled me. But this wasn't the first time I'd been the punchline. It was just the first time the punchline had weight. They liked testing how far they could push me. Hide my shoes. Change the Wi-Fi password. Leave me out of plans and call me sensitive when I noticed. That day, something shifted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. I went back inside and asked the cashier if there was a bus route nearby. I didn't call them. Not to yell. Not to demand they turn around. I called my old high school history teacher instead. He answered on the second ring. By the time my family realized I wasn't playing along, I was already on a bus headed in the opposite direction of home. They texted at first, then called. Then laughed about it again in the group chat when I didn't respond. Okay, Drama King, you proved your point, but I wasn't proving anything. I just didn't go back. I stayed with my teacher for a week. Got a job washing dishes. Picked up extra shifts, applied for community college classes I'd once postponed because my dad said I'd never stick with anything. It wasn't revenge. I didn't announce my departure with speeches about self-respect. I just stopped participating. They tried reaching out for a few months. Then less. Then holidays passed quietly. My mother sent one birthday card with no return address. I never replied. 15 years is long enough to build something solid if you're careful. I finished school. Moved cities. Built a career in compliance consulting. Ironic, I guess. I specialize in making sure companies don't cut corners. I'm good at identifying where systems fail people. I live a quiet life. Structured. Predictable. That's why the 107 missed calls unsettled me. My phone had been on silent during a board meeting. When I stepped out and checked it, the notifications stacked like a glitch. Unknown numbers. Variations of the same area code I grew up in. One voicemail. It was my mother, but she didn't sound amused this time. She sounded controlled. Tate. Callis. It's important. It's about your father. I waited a full day before listening again. Then I requested a background check through a colleague who owed me a favor. It took less than 24 hours to understand. My father was under investigation for financial misconduct tied to a small contracting business he'd started 5 years ago. Loans. Misreported assets. A frozen account. My name was still attached to an old joint account he'd opened when I was 17. An account I'd forgotten existed. They didn't miss me. They needed my documentation to prove I hadn't been involved. Or worse, that I had unknowingly authorized something. Without my statement, the investigation could widen. That's why there were 107 calls. Not grief. Not reconciliation. Urgency. I didn't call them directly. I contacted an attorney. The first time we all appeared in the same room again was in a neutral conference space with beige walls and a digital clock that ticked too loudly. My parents looked smaller, older. My brother avoided eye contact. My sister tried to smile like we were meeting at a reunion. No one mentioned the gas station. My father started explaining immediately. It's just paperwork. They're blowing it out of proportion. We just need you to confirm you weren't involved. Simple, simple. Like it had been simple to drive away. My attorney did most of the talking. Calm, precise. Every response filtered. For once, there were rules in the room. If they interrupted, they were redirected. If they tried to pivot to emotion, it was noted and brought back to documentation. There's something surreal about watching your childhood dynamic dissolve under fluorescent lighting. They couldn't joke their way through this. They couldn't label me dramatic. The power wasn't loud. It wasn't personal. It was procedural. I agreed to provide a formal statement clarifying I had no involvement and no prior knowledge of their financial decisions. I agreed to cooperate with investigators to protect myself. I did not agree to anything beyond that. No shared accounts, no financial assistance, no promises of coming back around more. At one point, my mother tried softly. We were young back then. We didn't realize how much it hurt you. I looked at her, steady. You realized enough to laugh. Silence settled after that. The investigation concluded months later. My father avoided criminal charges but paid significant penalties. The business folded. They sent one final message thanking me for helping the family. I didn't respond. I didn't block them either. Their number exists in my phone, permanently silenced. Sometimes I scroll back to the call log screenshot I took that first day. 107 missed calls in red. It doesn't make me angry anymore. It reminds me of something simpler. They once drove away expecting I'd chase after them. 15 years later, they were the ones trying to close distance. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel victorious. I just protected what I built and went back to work.